They found it drifting beyond Neptune's orbit, a black shard against the void. At first, the object seemed inert, a wedge-shaped structure with no visible propulsion or markings, smooth and matte, devouring light rather than reflecting it. The crew of the Magellan Ascendant had scanned it a dozen times over. It emitted no signals, no energy, no signs of life. But Captain Elara Tren knew, somehow, that it was watching them. The object was nearly 50 meters long and 20 wide, a perfect isosceles triangle in space, sharp edges, no seams. No species in the known galaxy used such a design. The Galactic Archive had no match, and that made a priority. Anything unknown was dangerous, and anything dangerous near Earth was hers to handle. Lieutenant Arlen suggested towing it back to Luna Station for a proper analysis. Tren vetoed that immediately. If it wants to be found, she said, it'll let us in. If not, towing home might be the last thing we ever do. Instead, they docked. The Magellan's docking prongs extended toward the object, and when they connected, something happened that none of them could explain. Space bent. Not visually, not to the naked eye, but every sensor on board screamed false readings. Distances stretched and compressed. Time staggered. One crewman vomited blood. The prongs retracted automatically, but the object opened, not like a door swinging on hinges, but like reality was peeled back. A gap appeared, perfectly rectangular, just wide enough for a human to pass through. Tren looked at her crew. "Suit up," she said. "We're going in." Only 3 joined her: Arlen, Dr. Mirska, and Sergeant Vaughn, her security officer. They stepped into the unknown, lights cutting into the unnatural darkness. The inside was vast, much larger than the exterior could account for. Ceilings stretched hundreds of feet above them. Gravity was present but light, enough to walk. The walls were made of the same black material, featureless, smooth, almost warm. They walked in silence for what felt like hours. The corridor never ended, never turned, yet their path shifted subtly. Arlen tried to mark the walls. Each time, the marks vanished within seconds. Then they found the first body. Human, or close to it. Naked male, eyes open, skin pale and flawless. No signs of decomposition. No tools, no injuries. Tren knelt beside him, checking for vitals. Nothing, but he wasn't cold. Preserved, Mirska muttered. Cryostasis without the ice. They continued forward, and the hallway opened into a chamber. Spherical. Dozens of bodies floated in slow, serene orbit around a central core. All human, all perfect. Some old, some young, some with features that did not match any known ethnicity. A soft hum vibrated in the air, felt rather than heard. The core pulsed. It was alive. No wires, no machines, just a beating thrum, like a heart, surrounded by the preserved dead. As the crew stared, the core pulsed faster. Tren's helmet speakers crackled. "You're late." The voice came from everywhere and nowhere, old and young at once. Mirska screamed. Vaughn raised his rifle, but the air thickened, slowing his movement to a crawl. "Do not struggle," the voice said. "You are invited." Tren forced herself to speak. "Who are you?" "Not who. What?" "You call me the Arkansas." The core shifted, showing them images: Earth, space, ancient battles, crumbling civilizations. Then stars they didn't recognize, planets of molten glass and oceans of dust. Each image burned itself into their minds, impossible to forget. "I contain the memory of worlds," the voice said. "Yours is one of them." Arlen stepped forward, trembling. "You mean you've been to Earth?" "You were visited. You were chosen. Humanity is not native to Earth." Silence. The revelation cracked something inside them. Mirska fell to her knees. That's not possible. We evolved." "You were seeded." The walls around them shimmered. A new corridor formed, leading away. The core pulsed again. "One of you will remain. The rest may leave. Choose." "No," Tren said immediately. "We leave together. One remains. The others die. Choose." The ship trembled. Mirska began to weep. Vaughn raised his rifle again, aiming at the core. The air thickened again, But this time, he pulled the trigger before it stopped him. The shot never landed. It bent, curved, and dissipated. I am not a machine. I am a judgment. Tren turned to her crew. We're not playing this game. Then you have made your choice. The chamber dissolved. The crew stood again in the corridor, but something was wrong. Arlen was gone. Mirska, where... He was right there, she whispered. He was right. They returned to the ship. Time had shifted. What felt like hours had been 10 days. Luna Station was silent. No response from Earth. Tren ran a scan. Earth was there, but dark. No satellites. No transmissions. It had been wiped clean. They tracked no debris, no signs of war, no biological traces. Just silence. Vaughn locked himself in the armory. Mirska stopped speaking. Tren spent her night staring at the shard outside the window. It had followed them back, floating just off the bow of the Magellan. Then it opened again. A corridor waited. Just one. Tren entered. This time, she was alone. The Ark greeted her not with words, but with memory. She saw cities under alien suns. She saw humanity reborn on 1,000 worlds, then burned away by their own creations. Each time, the Ark collected them, preserved them. You are recursion, the voice said. Flawed design, beautiful entropy. She asked, why us? The core responded, because you make the most noise. Tren saw Earth's destruction, not by war or nature, by silence. A wave of non-existence sweeping across the globe, erasing atoms, rewriting time backward until Earth had never existed. You tampered with memory. You tried to escape pattern. You failed. She collapsed. When she awoke, she was in her quarters. The shard was gone. So was the crew. The ship drifted without systems, dead in space. But the logs remained. Only she was listed as ever having boarded. There were no records of Arlen, Mirska, or Vaughn. No Earth. She checked the archives. All galactic maps. All human records. Nothing. Humanity had never existed. Only her. She was the last artifact of a failed experiment. A species erased by its own arrogance. The Ark had judged. And she had survived, not as a victory, but as a warning. A flicker appeared on the sensor array. Another shard. Different shape. Triangular again, but inverted. It approached. She did not run. When it docked, she stepped forward. The door opened. Inside was a child. Pale, perfect, eyes glowing with light. It reached for her hand. She took it, and the corridor closed. Out in space, the Magellan Ascendant faded from existence, leaving no trace. And the Ark moved on, seeking the next echo of human noise in the void.